Art, can you hear us, Art?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm on my cell phone and my video isn't very
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, you're good.
Right
We can
there.
hear you fine.
You good right there.
Yeah. And the video, we were talking about the collision and the mental toughness you guys had to have in the back in the day. Playing in the NFL the way you did. Do you remember any major hits or anything that sticks out in your mind, Art?
Doc, that's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't remember.
You know,
I was just going to say that you don't remember them. I've had
That's
a good thing, I guess.
I've had three concussions, and each one I woke up with people pulling me up when I didn't know I was out. And so, I had to go up. They, took me off to the side and let me sit for a while, until I get my senses back. One concussion, I actually lost my memory. I didn't know where I was. And that concerned them when I went over to the bench. They asked me who I was, where I was. I didn't know.
Hold on. So, Doc, that's what I want to. That's a good transition point because, what are the factors, in your profession, do you see as we're talking and lightly talking, all of us, you've interacted with Big Mac and Ray and I particularly, but, what is those, we're not talking about, what's the terminology when you talk about the brain?
The CTE.
No. What's the medical, Doc? The medical. You're cardiologist. What's the medical?
Well, we use concussion as well, but the traumatic brain injury is the phrase that we use as a broad scope of things.
But what's the medical professional that works?
Neurosurgeon or neurologist.
Neurosurgeon. That's what I'm looking for. So we're not in the neurosurgeon side of this all the way, but how does stuff like this, and what have you looked at with Franco today? What have you seen and heard out there that you would say, hey man, that's probably something tied to or potentially tied to lifestyle or future past lifestyle? Have you come up with any conclusions without, of course, you're not the doctor, you haven't done anything with him, but
no,
what have you seen and what you've heard?
The thing is that when we hear of people dying in their sleep, and so the only report I've heard is that he apparently died in his sleep, and so that's the information that we have, and no other information is there. But we get reports. I've gotten reports of people dying in their sleep all the time, and so typically someone who dies in their sleep is due to some cardiac event. Those are the most common causes of what we call sudden death, just the broad class of sudden death. So sudden death, if it's not due to, gunshot wound to the head or some sudden traumatic injury, somebody's asleep or, who just collapses and dies suddenly, then you have a list of a handful of things you think of that are most prominent. At the top of the list of things that are cardiac related. So an abnormal heart rhythm, where the heart that normally beats in an organized fashion suddenly has a short circuit and starts to fibrillate, and then a person drops dead. It could be due to a heart attack itself, where you have a blood clot or something that causes a major artery in the heart muscle to close off, and it shuts off flow to the heart to where the heart muscle can rupture or just, shuts down. So those cardiac issues are two major ones. A stroke could be also a major cause of sudden death, a major blood clot that goes to the brain. And we consider that a cardiovascular event because oftentimes that comes from the heart, the blood clot does. And then you can have a major blood clot that goes to a lung. And in fact, you can have a large enough blood clot that goes to both arteries that feed both lungs. We call that a saddle pulmonary embolus. It's a large clot that shuts off essentially all the blood flow to the lungs, and that can cause someone to die suddenly. So those are the handful of things that come to mind when we say, hear about somebody dying in their sleep. Typically an autopsy can pick up most of those things, an abnormal heart rhythm won't be picked up by an autopsy. So oftentimes when someone dies suddenly and we don't see evidence of a heart attack, or we don't see evidence of a blood clot to the lung, it could be due to an abnormal heart rhythm. And this is something that's common as becomes more common, I should say, as we get older. However, unfortunately, these days we're seeing younger and younger people with these heart conditions who are dying suddenly.
Two things. I heard somebody saying this. Obviously, just somebody was saying that they had heard that he had an AFib. He was dealing with an AFib, but I don't know if that's true or not. But secondly, is that as to response to what you just said, if one of us come to you in this kind of a situation, you find something about us, what do you do? What do you do in your business that helps a person, make that possibility become a smaller possibility? What's some of the things that you talk about?
Well, essentially what we do is do a basic evaluation. You check the blood pressure. We, look at the heart function. We check blood tests. We make some determinations of whether there's inflammation in the bloodstream. If individuals have symptoms of things like shortness of breath or racing heartbeat, palpitations, then we may do special monitoring to evaluate for heart rhythm. So we do a baseline evaluation of your blood that looks at the biochemistry and metabolic things. We look at your functional status. Can you walk? Can you walk on a treadmill? How far can you walk, et cetera? And we look at some, physiological and anatomical things. The heart, we do an ultrasound of the heart. Does it squeeze normally? Does it relax normally? Those types of things. So we get a basic overall assessment of how your body is working. And as you know, we've embarked, you and Big Mac and also Ray Waddy we've been embarking on this mission of raising this whole level of consciousness to the general public about understanding the nature of your health. That's number one. And number two, once you find problems with your health, the first step is to take drastic lifestyle changes to actually improve your health. And so even though we take a high-tech approach to evaluating people, we then take what some may consider a low-tech approach to helping address any and all problems that we find. Because what in my vast experience, I find that if you have an aggressive lifestyle intervention, which can be actually more difficult for some people than having open heart surgery, oddly enough, but an aggressive lifestyle change can have wonders in turning somebody's life around. And so that the steps you take, find out the nature of your health, and regardless of what you find, commit yourself to make fundamental change in your lifestyle. And this is what we've embarked on. And we've worked with retired NFL players over the year. In 2009, Big Mac, you were with a group. Dahlia and Ray are with a current group that kicked off our current Heart and Soul of a Champion campaign, that we're using this not only to raise awareness among retired professional athletes, but also raise awareness of the importance of addressing chronic illness in the general public alike.
Yeah, our sisters and brothers and everybody else. It's definitely been a blessing for me, and I'm glad you shared that.
And one thing I'll mention, sorry to interrupt, this way of dying, sudden cardiac death, is the number one cause of death in the United States, by the way. And it's the number one cause of dying, sudden death. And one mechanism I left out is sleep apnea. Remember Reggie White, who died in his sleep, had sleep apnea. And that's a major contributing cause of a cardiac arrest. You have sleep apnea spell, you don't breathe for a while, and then you can go into cardiac arrest. But sudden death is the number one cause of dying, and it's the top cause and cardiovascular cause of death. And so it's something that we want to be aware of. Individuals with heart disease, it's estimated about 40% of them will, the first symptom of their heart disease will be sudden cardiac arrest. And so it's one of those things that, hey, if you just step back and say, let me get a basic evaluation, and regardless of what that evaluation finds, whether it's something abnormal or everything's normal, the next evaluation should be evaluate your lifestyle. What are the foods you're eating? How much exercise you're getting? How much fresh air and sunshine you're getting? What are you having healthy relationships? All those things are things that have to be addressed. And these are easy things to do. Let me back up. Simple things to do. They may not always be easy. They're simple things to do. But if you address these things, you meet them head on, you can have a huge impact on your overall health. And it doesn't take years. The changes can be days to weeks.
Man, and like I said, we're sincere when we talk about honoring Franco, but this is also a moment where we can launch our message to the community, and that's what I'm driven to do. And for those who don't know, I've been with Doc since June of 2022. Came in there, thought I was still Superman, but I had a bad report on my blood pressure, some cardiovascular aspects to my own life with a 191/114. And, I'm the kind of person, as you talked about that, it may not be easy, but if you're serious, you get a lot. It's weird to me how some people, it's like, you're not serious about your health. I'm serious about mine. And it requires something of you. And that's what I want to do. I want to get the word out to every sister, brother, niece, cousin, aunt, grandma in my own family. And I want to get it out to everyone in everybody else's family to say, here's what's up. And there's something that can be done about it. And Ray, tell a little bit about what you're doing, man.
Well, actually, let me just backtrack if we can a little bit. Got a call one evening from Daryl, and Daryl had money on a three-way, and we were catching up, talking about a little bit of things.
Monty Coleman, linebacker, 16 years in the NFL.
Yeah, my roommate, Monty, my travel roommate, and we have our conversation, talk about different things. And before we get off the phone, I said, guys, look, keep me in prayer. I've been diagnosed with congestive heart failure, and I'm trying to figure out what all that means. And I didn't know at the time Daryl was calling me to try to see if we can get money to make some steps, and put me in touch with Dr. Montgomery. I actually, after I talked to Daryl, I looked up Dr. Montgomery myself online, and then got a chance to be in a three-way with Dr. Montgomery and Daryl, and I became a part of the Heart and Soul of a Champion. I walked into the Montgomery Wellness Clinic with not a whole lot of hope, not understanding what this heart issue that I had was dealing with. People used to tell me as a little, Daryl, I was a little player too, light-wise. I was a little taller than you, but that I had a lot of heart. And I said, well, I need to get some of that heart back. So I went through the program, Heart and Soul of a Champion, changed some things and saw some drastic results. Had a long way to go, still got a long way to go. But I actually believe that as I look back on what's happened, since then, I've had a stroke about a month ago that I didn't even know I had a stroke. And I actually really believe in my heart, as to looking at what's happened since then, that if I had not gone through that first part, that stroke could have been devastating. So I'm back. I'm still working through the program. I miss my boy. It's a lot tougher to do it when you don't have your support.
Oh man, you mean Doc? Come on,
Doc, I don't get the love you got from Doc, man.
But hey, Ray, But
Well,
here's the
I told
thing.
Doc, no, Doc,
So
Doc,
you
I
were
told Doc,
5 weeks. We were 5 weeks in a row. You were going to go back and go to your 35th, 36th year school teaching and coaching. I was heading back. I was going to the Hall of Fame and getting back up here in the Northeast. I think that you realized that, hey, you should have just stayed the course. Now, eventually you went ahead on and retired. Now you back in. But my point I'm making is this. The fortunate part for you, and I want everybody at home to understand, is there is somewhere to plug into. So you didn't have to look around, man. You plugged in. You knew where to plug in, who to plug into, where to plug into, how to plug in, and you're back on track. Doc was talking about. We were talking about you the other day, man. You're doing really great, and you're going to be great. And trust me, you're right about how you felt. It fit the countenance on your face when I first saw you, and that was a big joke in the clinic, that your face just became lighter and lighter and lighter, and that was because of the level of hope that was pumped into you by what we were doing there, and what Doc is doing. So I applaud Doc, man. Doc has something over there that is bringing hope and life to people. And yes, you got to, as they say, Big Mac, they say you got to bring some to get some. You got to bring some to get some.
You guys brought a lot.
Yeah, you got to.
You brought a
got to
lot.
come. You got to show up. You got to show up. You got to bring some to get some. What are you saying, Big Mac? What you got?
He has the experience back in 2009.
So, but Doc, was he grinding like us, running? Were y'all running?
We didn't have the running part yet, but they were doing the raw detox. What's your recollection on that?
I was in pretty good shape back in 2009.
Yeah.
I'd been pumping at the gym and running the treadmill 45 minutes, 3 or 4 days a week.
Okay.
But nothing like that now.
But you didn't come in. I mean, if without disclosing everything, you didn't come in with much of a tough situation.
No. I came in just to experience the program and be able to refer it to some of the guys that was in the association and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Basically where I've been thinking. But now I feel like I need to set an example for myself.
One thing and this is something I really got from you guys, because I started in 2009. We started with retired NFL players, and then we filmed it, but we didn't put it all together like I wanted. And then this year, D Green, when you and I, we were in Virginia talking, and my thought process was coming to a peak of saying, okay, I really need to do this. And we had this conversation. And I think the timing was just right, an act of God, because I think you were of the mindset, hey, I'm going to do something with this 40-yard dash and so on and so forth. Yeah. So long story short, we sort of, rekindled the process in June. And so what happened is that it really kicked in, because we had the program. And the reason I want to start with you retired athletes is because you guys have something, as we alluded to earlier, you guys have something special to be able to go out on the field and endure the things that you've gone through. And that's something that's very deep inside of you. And so my theory is that not only could we do something with this intervention that could, help reverse any chronic illness, I truly believe, and it may sound crazy, and you guys feel free to call me crazy if you want to. I don't care if we're on air or not. I honestly believe that we can get you guys back close to where you were performing. And it seems like it's ridiculous to me to say that, running.
I'm ridiculous anyway. I believe it.
and the reason I say that, I said that before we got started. But even after we got started, just watching you guys run the hill, watching even Ray Waddy work out, in the gym, I saw something that it's like, wait a minute, you guys have something different than other people have. All those years you spent training your muscles, your nerves, your brain, and your mind, that's still there. And these chronic illnesses are things that's on top of it. And there's interventions, and we've got, and I sent you a text the other day, we've got some new stuff coming too, that's going to really help take away these so-called cobwebs and really help those cells re-energize. A concert pianist who developed his skills over years and years and who may lose it due to some cognitive decline, if they regain some of the cognition, they can actually go back and play. And the reason I'm fairly convinced is because we see people with bad hearts on life support who have severe arthritis, severe conditions, have those conditions reversed. We've seen people with MS get out of wheelchairs and walk, and all of these things. I've had person on life support get up out the ventilator, walk out of the hospital. So the body has an amazing ability to heal and rekindle itself. And so there's kind of an informal experiment with you guys, and we're inviting other people. Art Monk, you're welcome to come and join at some point. But I really think that you guys can get back, if you're so willing to try, get back and get close to the level that you were before. I know Darryl Green was, my goodness, he was out there, he was pushing everybody. But
I'm not stopping either.
Yeah. It's one of those things. And the reason it's important, I'll say this and I'll give it to Mike. The reason this is important is the following. We in the society is in a healthcare crisis. We're seeing young people die suddenly. Franco Harris is 72. I've seen in the last month, heard stories of people in their 30s, their 20s, teenagers die suddenly. The people in their 20s come to the office with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, inflammation. Young people who should be in the prime of their lives. So you guys were stars in a day, and you were champions. We need to tap into the heart and soul of a champion. Tap inside your heart and soul. And you're the ideal group to lead this way, because you know what it takes to go to the next level. And it's inside of you. But other people, whether you're a retired lawyer, a retired school teacher, a retired homemaker, they're too are champions, and we need to tap inside their soul. And so that's why we're putting forth, this whole docu-series to help bring forth this message that we as a society and as individuals need to tap into our hearts and minds and souls and change our health condition. This is something that needs to happen immediately.
Yeah. And of course, we've been, we do everything from try to help somebody sell a car to, speak to kids or whatever the case may be. But this is different.
Yep.
I'm trying to get my sister, my brother, everybody. My brother died of aneurysm. My brothers and sisters been on high blood pressure medicine for 30 and 40 years. And so this is personal. And then, of course, myself, I'm getting ready to have my 15th grandkid,
wow.
And I'm excited about that. And so, this is real. This is real. This is the real game. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity that God has presented for us, that we would meet right down the street. Here you are. You grew up on the north side of Houston. I grew up on the south side, but I've been living here 40 years. And then I meet you 1,500 miles away from where we were born, way up in Virginia. You're right. It was the right time. And I have a whole court basketball back there that I could dunk from the time I was at Jesse H. Jones High School in South Park in the 10th grade. And I could dunk till I was 50 years old. And last summer, I couldn't touch the rim. And I was like, man, I'm going to touch this rim. I'm going to run the 40 fast. I'm just all excited. But then I get there and I do all my panels, as you do. You're not just jumping in, let's go. No, you're a doctor. You check everything out. And then boom, 190, 101, 114 and other different issues. Like, okay, hold up. But so, man, that's a miracle that God brought me to meet up with you. I could have been a Franco Harris myself. I could have been a Lester Green, because my brother Lester, because I'm in that family. So I'm really excited about this. When I talk to people every day, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to tell you, man, this is your life, and the opportunity to be better is available. But like I tell people in my Christian faith, what does it cost? Here's what it costs. Everything. So just get all ready, just be ready. It's going to cost everything. But now in Christian faith, if I'm telling you it costs you everything, but all you have in your pocket is $10, but the car costs $10 million, that's fine. All I want is everything from you. That's
Yep.
is you can't pay for it anyway.
That's right.
But the value or the cost to you is everything you have. So
Yep.
it's the same thing. I think in this cost, this is sacrifice. Got to go over there. Got to do this. Got to do that. You know, and you know, most people, you know, in society, they want to do what they want to do. And it's different than when somebody tell you what you have to do, whether you're going to prison or a doctor telling you you got to do this or you're not going to live. It's different than going on your own. When I used to train guys like us, none of the coach tell us to go train. Coach, I don't need, if you got to tell me to do this, I shouldn't be doing it.
Wow.
No coach didn't get me in the Hall of Fame. No coach didn't make me the fastest man and the coverage guy. Coach, thank you for just kind of being there. The guy that's telling us what time we be, where we got to be. But you're not the one.
Wow.
I'm doing this by the grace of God. And so I appreciate you being that coach, but I still have to want what the team is offering, what the game offers. And you have it to offer, and I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be there for the rest of my days. I'll be working with Montgomery Heart and Wellness.
Well, I think
Houston, Texas.
Yeah, Houston, Texas. I think that probably goes
South
to all of
Maine.
you. Yeah, I think none of you guys needed a coach to get you to where you were, because it'd take one snap in the NFL, like I said, it was 1 million.